il verbo me garabatum est, Ave Maria, gratia plena Dominus tecum, benedicta tui mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus.
I had an incident happen not too long ago, and Father Vaccaro was with me, and we were in a firehouse subs, and this man came over to me and asked for prayers because he had been diagnosed with a very serious cancer. And so I took out the relics of Padre Pio. I blessed him with the relics of Padre Pio. So he came subsequently to tell me that the tests did not show the cancer any longer. And so I blessed him again with the relics of Padre Pio. And then finally, he stopped us outside of Mass. Father was standing there, and I think he even talked to Father Bjorn about it and said, absolutely no cancer. And so it didn't surprise me because I've seen that happen so many times over the years, that Padre Pio comes through, especially for people like that. I had my first miracle that I asked for when I got to the tomb of Padre Pio I was here in the parish, and we made a pilgrimage to Italy with Vera Calandra from Bardo. And there were a group of Sicilian women who were at the tomb of Padre Pio with me, and I told them that there were 3 intentions I brought with me. One, a parishioner who was childless for 3 years. Another parishioner childless for 7 years. The third parishioner childless for 15 years. They had gone to all the doctors, they had done everything they could do. So I told these Sicilian women who were on pilgrimage, please pray for these 3 couples in America who so much desperately want a child. By the time I got home, 2 of the couples were already pregnant, and within a month, the third became pregnant. And here at Sacred Heart, I baptized the child and gave the middle name Pio, and the father was so impressed by this that he became a Catholic. And that's a grace that happened here in this parish. It must have been 1979. There was the case of Gemma Di Giorgio. She was a little girl who came to San Giovanni Rotondo to make her first Holy Communion from the hands of Padre Pio. Now, Gemma Di Giorgio was born without pupils. That's like saying this camera that's facing me could take accurate pictures without a lens. You know, it would be a miracle if this camera could photograph things without a lens, but it's impossible. So it's impossible for a human being to see without pupils. So Gemma Di Giorgio made her first Holy Communion. The miracle didn't occur then and there. I think it occurred on the train on the way back home when she started telling her mother that she could see things moving outside the train. The trees are walking, no, she could finally see, and she had never seen before. And she was born blind, so it's not like she had any recollection of seeing anything. And so I've seen films of her where she's threading a needle, 20/20 vision, and yet she still doesn't have pupils. It's like saying this camera can operate without a lens and take beautiful pictures. So that's the kind of effect devotion to Padre Pio had on many, many people. But like I say, he's not a great saint because of his mystical gifts, the stigmata, the reading of hearts, the aroma of his blood, the sweetness of his blood. In Italy, they kissed the hand of the priest. Sometimes the blood would remain on the lips. Indescribable sweetness, not a saltiness, not a vulgar flavor, but a sweetness that's indescribable. Bilocation. I remember one story whereby Padre Pio showed up at someone's home one night in San Giovanni Rotondo. Apparently, this little girl was having words with her mother, and her mother sent her to bed without dinner, like she wanted candy, and the mother wouldn't give her candy. And they were arguing, and so she sends the child to bed. Well, she felt bad after a while that she had been so cross with her daughter, so she goes into the bedroom to comfort her daughter who had been crying, and she sees her smiling, sitting up in bed with a mound of candy on her lap. So the mother says, "Where did you get all this candy?" She knew she didn't have it in the house. She said, "Padre Pio saw me crying, and he brought me all this candy." So the mother, very indignant, the next day runs to the monastery and insists on seeing Padre Pio. Well, Padre Pio meets with her, and she says, was it you? Was it you that came and gave candy to my daughter last night? Through bilocation. He didn't enter the house, obviously. And he said, don't worry. Next time I'll bring some for you too. Padre Pio had a wonderful sense of humor. He would argue with people sometimes, somebody who denied the existence of hell, and he'd just simply say to the man, don't worry, you'll believe it when you get there. But Padre Pio loved to have children around him because he loved the innocence of children, because they reflected his spirit, his soul, which was so innocent. During the Second World War, Padre Pio made a promise to the townspeople of San Giovanni Rotondo that they would not be bombed, although the different regions around them were being bombed. And bomber pilots had gone to bomb the town of Padre Pio. They signed sworn testimony, I'm told, that in front of the bomber, they saw a monk with his bleeding hands extended, and they didn't drop the bombs. Padre Pio kept his promise and safeguarded the people of San Giovanni Rotondo. He loved Americans, but why? Because his father came to the United States. In fact, he worked with a classmate of mine's grandfather building the Long Island Railroad. And he would make the money here and send it back so Padre Pio could be educated. So Padre Pio loved America. He loved Americans, especially Brucolino. He loved people from New York, especially from Brooklyn, where his father had settled and helped build the Long Island Railroad. So Padre Pio became very popular during the war as American servicemen found out about him. They visited him and promoted the stories that went throughout the world. And so after the war, there was a great interest in St. Padre Pio.